Hey guys, it's Alexandra from iloveknots.com and Cre8tioncrochet.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a shell stitch beanie. This beanie starts with a base of double crochet and then it goes into a shell stitch, built very similarly to a granny stitch cluster. It's 3 double crochets. This is actually one of the first patterns that I designed back in 2014, so I am revamping the pattern. Before it was just a child size and I worked it in a pink color. I'll put up a photo. Back then I made the beanie for my niece. Now I have added all the sizes from newborn to adult large. I've renamed it. This is now the Selene beanie. And then the addition of this video tutorial. So you'll find the written pattern for this in the description box below. As I was reworking this, I thought about doing a shell stitch for the crown as well, but I like doing simple crowns like this because one, it's really easy to work. It's really easy to adjust the finished size. If your gauge is a little bit off, it is really easy to do the math to get an even stitching. And it does keep your head warmer if you're using this for warmth. But if you are interested in a hat that starts with the shell stitch for the crown, drop me a line below and let me know, and I will work on a modification for this pattern so that it will start with the shell stitch. For my beanie, I'm using WeCrochet Swish yarn. This is a worsted weight number 4 yarn, 100% superwash merino wool. I really like this yarn. It is soft, it is squishy, it's not itchy. And when you wear it, it just feels like a hug. It's really, really lovely. But you can use your favorite worsted weight yarn for this project. You'll want to just take your gauge so that you make sure that the finished beanie is going to fit correctly. I'll walk you through each step of increasing. We'll take our gauge together. You'll measure the crown the same exact way as the gauge, and then we'll go into the shell stitch. Together with this worsted weight yarn, you're going to want to use an H8 5mm crochet hook. This is my favorite crochet hook to use. I custom ordered it from Sienna's Boutique on Etsy. I will link it in the description box below. If you are a tight crocheter, you may want to work the crown in the H8 hook and then switch to an I9 hook for the rest of it. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with a slip knot, so I've pulled the yarn over my fingers here. Wrap it around my index finger 2 times, hold the tension with my thumb and my middle finger. Pull the loop on the left up over the other one but not off my finger. Then pull the loop on the left now up over the other one and off my finger. Take my crochet hook, insert it into the loop on my finger and pull it off. Hold the working yarn in my right hand, pull the short tail in with my left so this knot goes to normal tension. We're going to start with a chain 4. To chain, we yarn over and pull through the loop on our hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook. This gives us 3 chains. One more will make 4. Each one of those V shapes there is a stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. That very first one that we made, that's where we're going to slip stitch join to form a ring. We'll insert our hook into the center of that chain, yarn over, pull through that stitch and the loop that's on your hook. That's a slip stitch join to form a ring. It leaves us this hole in the center that we're going to work round 1 in. Where we just slip stitch also has a hole because this knot is not secured. You do not want to work your stitches into that top hole, you want to work into the center hole. And we'll secure this top one down soon. We're going to start with a chain 2. This chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch here in the crown of the beanie. When we get to the body of the beanie in a little bit, it will count as a stitch. We're going to be working in double crochets. As we work this first round, we're going to hold the tail end that we started with up against the back of the chains so that we can crochet over it as we work. To double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that center ring, yarn over and pull through. We have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. that's going to complete a double crochet. Holding the tail end against the back of the chains, yarn over, insert your hook into the center ring. You have the chain on your hook and the tail end over it as well. Yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over, insert your hook into that center ring, working over the chain and the tail end held together. Yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So right now we have 1, 2, 3 double crochets. Each one of those V shapes there on the top is going to be a stitch. And then we have that chain 2 that we're not counting as a stitch here. If you're working the newborn size or the adult large size, you're going to work 11 double crochets in here. If you're working any of the other sizes, you're going to work 10 double crochets. Now I have all my double crochets worked, and I'm going to slip stitch join to the first double crochet of the round. If you're not sure which one the first double crochet is, then you can count backwards from this stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Insert your hook under both loops of that stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch and through the loop that's on your hook. That's going to be a slip stitch join. We're going to be doing that at the end of each round. Now your center ring here, you can hold the fabric in between your fingers, pull on that short tail end to close it up. Be careful not to pull too tight because you can tear your yarn. You'll see that ring has closed up now. We have a little circle, and we'll secure this closed later on. For now, we're going to move on to round 2. We're going to start increasing now. That means working multiple stitches into the same stitch so that our circle will get larger but continue to lay flat. We're going to start with a chain 2. Here in the crown of the beanie, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch. I'm going to be showing you the way that I like to work my increases to help keep my seam straight. Traditionally, you would work 2 stitches into this first stitch, 2 stitches into the next stitch, 2 stitches into the next, and so on. I'm going to be splitting my beginning increase, and I'm going to do this in each round that I am increasing. I'm going to be working just the first double crochet of the 2 into this first stitch where the chain is coming out of, picking up both loops of that V shape. Once I come all the way back around and I end my last set of increases over here, I'm going to work my last double crochet into the next stitch, which is the same stitch that my chain 2 is coming out of. It's just going to be to the right of it. The first one will be to the left of the chain and the last one will be to the right of the chain. You can increase using whatever manner you prefer. As long as you end up with the same number of stitches at the end, it's fine, but I am going to be showing the tutorial worked in this method. And this is going to help keep my seam straight. I hate a traveling seam, so this is how I do it all the time, no matter what stitch pattern I'm working. I'm going to now work 2 double crochets into this next stitch. And we're going to continue working 2 stitches into each stitch all the way around until we're back to the beginning. You're going to finish your last set of increases over here, and then we'll work 1 more to complete that first set. If you're working the newborn size or the adult large size, you're going to finish with 22 double crochets in this round, and all the rest of the sizes are going to finish with 20 double crochets. There's the last stitch of my last increase here. I have one more stitch to work. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that very next stitch, which is attached to the beginning chain, and work my last double crochet. And now that first set of increases is complete with 2 stitches. I'm going to insert into the first double crochet and complete a slip stitch by yarning over and pulling through that stitch and the loop that's on my hook. And round 2 is now complete. For round 3, we're going to chain 2. For this round, we would typically work 2 stitches into the first, 1 stitch into the next, 2 stitches, and then 1. I'm going to split this first increase here by working just 1 double crochet into this very first stitch, and I'll work the second half of that increase at the end. Then I'll work 1 stitch into this next double crochet. The repeat is going to be 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the very next stitch. So we have 3 stitches in our repeat, 2 stitches into the next stitch, 1 stitch into the next. Continue working that all the way around. Once you're here at the end, you'll work your last stitch over here. We'll work 1 more stitch to complete that first set of increases. For the newborn size and the adult large size, round 3 is going to have 33 double crochets. And for all the other sizes, round 3 is going to have 30 double crochets. There's the last stitch from my last set of increases. I have 1 more stitch left to work. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that very next stitch, which is attached to the beginning chain 2. This double crochet is going to come out just to the right of that beginning chain 2. And now the first set of increases is complete with 2 stitches. Insert my hook into the first double crochet and complete a slip stitch. And now round 3 is complete. We're going to work 1 more round, then we're going to check our gauge, and once we know our gauge is on point, then we'll come back here and weave in this initial tail end. We'll start round 4 with a chain 2. I'll work my first stitch of my first set of increases in this first stitch right here, and then I'm going to work a double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Our repeat for this round is going to be 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So our increase for this round is going to be 4 stitches. You'll work 2 stitches into the next stitch, 1 stitch into each of the next 2 stitches. Continue all the way around. Once you work your last stitch over here, we'll work 1 more in that next stitch to complete the first set of increases, and then we'll slip stitch join the round. For the newborn size and the adult large size, round 4 is going to have 44 double crochets, and for all the rest of the sizes, round 4 is going to have 40 double crochets. There's the last stitch from my last set of increases. I have 1 more stitch left here to work in the next stitch. And now my first set of increases is complete with 2 stitches, and I can slip stitch join the round. And now round 4 is complete. We're going to set this down on our surface so we can measure the gauge. If your circle is not meeting the correct diameter right now, then the finished hat is not going to come out to the correct size. So you're going to take your soft tape measure. I always like to measure from the number 1 to get the most accurate. So I'm going to lay that on the edge of the left side here. Measure directly across the center of the circle to the edge of the right side. This is going to be the diameter of your circle. If you're working the newborn size or the adult large size, you want yours to measure 4 inches wide. If you're working any of the other sizes, you want yours to be about 3 3/4 to 3 7/8. Mine is measuring 3 7/8 right now, so I'm good to go. If your diameter is not measuring the measurements that I have provided, your finished beanie is not going to fit. It is either going to come out too big or too small. If you're measuring larger than the measurements that I've provided, you're going to want to rework your sample in a smaller crochet hook. If you're measuring smaller than the measurements I've provided, you're going to want to rework your sample in a larger crochet hook. Once you get your sample reworked, 4 rounds, measure the diameter and check it again. You'll find the gauge measurements listed in the description box below as well. If you are working the newborn size, this is where the increases stop for that. You want the crown of your beanie for the newborn size to be 4 rounds, which is what we have. I'm going to continue increasing so we get all of the increases done for all the sizes. You can go into the description box below, click on the timestamp for the next round, and it will jump you forward in the video. For round 5, we're going to start with a chain 2. Work our first double crochet into this very first stitch, and we'll work the second half of that at the end. Then we'll double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And then our repeat begins here. 2 double crochets into the next stitch. Double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So our repeat has 5 stitches in it. 2 double crochets into the next stitch, double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Continue working all the way around. Once you finish the last double crochet from the last increase over here, we'll work 1 more stitch into that first stitch to complete that beginning increase, and then slip stitch join. For the adult large size, round 5 is going to have 55 stitches, and all the remaining sizes are going to have 50 double crochets. There's the last stitch of my last repeat. I have 1 more stitch left here to work in the first stitch to complete that first set of increases with 2 stitches. Now I'll slip stitch join to the first stitch, and round 5 is complete. If you are working the 3 to 6 month size, this is where you're going to stop increasing. Take your soft tape measure, lay it down on the left side, measure directly across the diameter of the circle, and the crown should be measuring between 4 5/8 inches and 4 3/4 inches wide. I'm going to continue increasing now so we can get all the increases made for all the sizes. But you can pop down into the description box below, click on the timestamp for the next round, and it will jump you forward in the video. For round 6, we're going to start with a chain 2, double crochet into that very first stitch. We'll complete the second half of that increase later, then double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. And now the repeat for this round is 2 double crochets into the next stitch, double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. So our repeat for this round has 6 stitches, 2 double crochets into the next stitch, double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. Continue working all the way around until you work your last double crochet of the last repeat over here. You'll work one more stitch to complete that first set of increases, and then we'll slip stitch join the round. For the adult large size, round 6 is going to have 66 double crochets, and for all the remaining sizes, round 6 is going to have 60 double crochets. There's the last double crochet for my last set of increases. I have one more stitch left here to work in the next stitch to complete that first set of increases with 2 stitches. Then I'm going to slip stitch join the round, and round 6 is now complete. If you are working the 6 to 12 month size or the toddler size, this is where you're going to stop increasing. You'll lay your soft tape measure along the left side, measure directly across the center of the circle, and the crown is going to be measuring between 5 3/8 inches and 5.5 inches. I'm going to continue increasing so we can get the next couple sizes worked. But you can drop down into the description box below, click on the timestamp for the next round, and it will jump you forward in the video. For round 7, we're going to start with a chain 2. This is going to be the last round of increasing. We'll work 1 double crochet into that very first stitch and complete the second half of that increase at the end. Then we'll work a double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Here's where our repeat begins. 2 double crochets into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So our repeat for this round has 7 stitches. 2 double crochets into the next stitch, double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Continue working all the way around until you're back and you complete the last double crochet of your very last increase. This round is going to be modified for the child and adult small size, so once we get here, then we'll finish out this round together. Alright, I just finished the last double crochet for my last set of increases here. For the adult small and the child size, we are not going to work our last stitch into that next stitch to complete that first set of increases. We are taking away a stitch here in this round because we want to finish with 69 stitches. For the adult large size, you are going to work your last double crochet into that next stitch, and you're going to finish with 77 double crochets. Then we're going to slip stitch join the round, and round 7 is now complete, and we're done increasing. I'm going to pull up a loop here, I'm going to flip it to the back side, and I'm going to weave in that initial tail end. I'm going to work clockwise under the stitches until I get back to the beginning. This puts me back at the beginning. I'm going to push through a couple more stitches, and when I exit this time, I'm going to break that last stitch in half so it can help capture my yarn better. I'm going to hold the fabric in between my thumb and my middle finger, and I'm going to pull this tail so I make sure that that ring is closed up. Then I'm going to rotate my fabric. I'm going to insert into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half. I always break my stitches in half when I enter and exit. I'm going to run it up vertically into several stitches, and I'll break the last stitch in half when I exit as well. Hold the fabric, pull through and give it a tug, rotate again. I like to work 3 passes, insert into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half, run through several stitches I just finished, and break my last stitch in half when I exit. Hold the fabric, pull through, and give it a tug. Manipulate the fabric if you need to, if it's bunched up, and then fasten off. For the next round, we're going to be working double crochets all the way around, and this is going to be the foundation round for our shell stitch pattern, because the shell stitch pattern needs to be worked into a round that is divisible by 3. We're going to start with a chain 2, and from now on this chain 2 is going to count as one of the double crochets from our round. For the newborn size, the 3 to 6 month size, and the adult large size, you're going to work your first double crochet into this very first stitch here that the chain is coming out of. This is going to give us one extra stitch at the end of the round. And for all the remaining sizes, we're going to work our first stitch into the second stitch of the round. And this stitch count is going to be equal to the one that you just finished working. Continue double crocheting all the way around into each stitch. I'm going to put up a chart that shows how many stitches you're going to need, depending on the size that you're working. Once we get to the end, we'll slip stitch join together. I've reached the last stitch of my round here. We are not working another stitch into the first stitch where the chain is coming out of. We are going to slip stitch join to the top chain of the beginning chain 2. So on the bottom is the chain 1, and on the top is chain 2. Insert right into the center of that chain, and then complete your slip stitch. I'm going to pull up a loop really quick. Your beanie should be making a bowl shape, because we are done increasing, so we want it to build the body of the beanie now. Next up is going to be the shell stitch pattern. I'm going to start with a chain 2, and this chain 2 is going to count as one of our double crochets from the shell stitch cluster. We're going to work a double crochet into this very first stitch, the same stitch that the chain 2 is coming out of. After we work back around, we're going to work one more stitch into this first stitch, and it's going to come out just to the right of that beginning chain, and that's going to help us continue to keep our seam straight through the shell pattern. We're going to skip each of these next 2 stitches, and our repeat is going to be 3 double crochets into the next stitch, skip each of the next 2 stitches, and then the repeat again, 3 double crochets into the next stitch, skip each of the next 2 stitches, 3 double crochets into the next stitch, skip each of the next 2 stitches. All the way around. When you get to the end, you're going to see that you have 2 stitches left, which we're going to skip them so that we keep in pattern, and then we'll add in that last stitch. Now I've worked all the way around. I finished my last shell, and I have 2 stitches left here. They're doing construction right outside my house. I hope it's not too loud. We're going to work our last double crochet into the same stitch that our beginning chain is coming out of. So skipping these 2 stitches here, and in that next stitch right under the chain 2, we're going to insert our hook in there and complete our last double crochet. That will complete the first shell with 3 stitches, and then we're going to slip stitch join to the top chain of the beginning chain 2. On the bottom is the first chain, on the top is the second chain. Insert your hook right in the center and complete your slip stitch. And by working our double crochets on either side of that chain 2, that's going to help our seam stay straight the whole way through, just like we did in the crown. All the remaining rounds are going to be worked exactly the same as this next round. We're going to chain 2, double crochet into this very first stitch where our chain is coming out of, We'll work the last stitch of that at the end, and it'll come out just to the right of the beginning chain 2. We'll skip each of the next 2 double crochets, and in the next double crochet, which is the center double crochet of the shell, we're going to work 3 double crochets. Then we'll skip each of the next 2 double crochets, and in the next double crochet, which is in the center of the shell, we're going to work 3 double crochets all the way around. And for each round, our shell stitches are going to line up one on top of the other. I'm going to continue working all the way around until I get to my last shell over here. Then we'll add our last stitch together and slip stitch join the round. There's my last shell stitch of the round. I have just one more stitch left to work into this first stitch to complete that first shell with 3 stitches. So I'll yarn over, skip each of those last 2 double crochets, and into that next stitch, which is just under the beginning chain, I'm going to insert my hook and complete my last double crochet. Chain 1 on the bottom, chain 2 on the top, insert into the center of the chain 2, and complete your slip stitch. And that's how all our rounds are going to be worked, starting with a chain 2, 1 double crochet into that first stitch, shell stitches into the center double crochet of each shell all the way around. Once you get to the end, you'll work that last double crochet into the first stitch under your beginning chain and join to the top chain. I'll put up a chart showing how many rounds you'll want to have depending on the size that you're working, and once we get that done, then I'll come back and we'll work the ending together. You're going to count that first round where you worked the initial set of double crochets in there. That is round 1. Right underneath that, round 2, double crochets underneath that, round 3, round 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I just finished my last shell stitch there, and now we're going to do a round of single crochet just to give a finished edge. If you like the way that the shell stitches look as the edge, you do not have to work single crochet over it. You may want to work an additional round of the shell stitch so that you get a little bit of extra length, but I do like to finish mine with some single crochet. So I'm going to start with a chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet into this very first stitch that my chain is coming out of, where we've slip stitch joined our round. Insert my hook right into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. That completes a single crochet. Then I'll insert my hook into the next double crochet there, yarn over and pull through, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. Insert my hook into the next double crochet, which is the first one from the next shell stitch, yarn over and pull through, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. That gives me 1, 2, 3 single crochets so far. I'll continue single crocheting into each double crochet. That's going to be 3 single crochets per shell. There's 3 double crochets there. And when I make it all the way around, I'll finish with this last shell stitch here. There'll be 3 single crochets there. I'll work 1 more single crochet into that very first double crochet, and then slip stitch join the round. I've made it all the way around. I have 1 more stitch left to work, and that's into the last double crochet that I worked of my shell stitch. And then I'll slip stitch join to the first single crochet of the round. And now this round is complete. If you are working the newborn size, the 3 to 6 month size, the 6 to 12 month size, or the adult large size, this is where you're going to stop with just 1 round of single crochet. For the remaining 3 sizes, toddler, child, and adult small, we're going to add 1 more round of single crochet, starting with a chain 1, single crochet into the first stitch, and single crochet all the way around into each stitch there. You'll have the same number of single crochets, and then you'll slip stitch join. I don't like my beanie to be quite as long, so I'm not going to add this additional round. This is going to finish my beanie at about 8¼ inches instead of 8½. For mine, I'm going to go ahead and pull this chain one out. I'm going to fasten off here, leaving a tail end long enough I can comfortably weave in. Pull up on this loop to break it. I like to bring this tail end to the wrong side, so I'll insert from the wrong side of the work to the right side, through the same stitch I slip stitched to, yarn over, and pull that tail end to the back. Now I'll grab my tapestry needle and I'll weave in this final end. I've turned my work to the wrong side and I've threaded my end into my tapestry needle. As I work, I don't pick up the whole stitch. I always break my stitch in half when I enter and exit, and that's going to be to capture my yarn better. So do not pick up the whole stitch, break it in half to help capture the yarn. I like to do 3 passes, that's my magic number. If you feel secure after 2, you can fasten off. If you feel like you need to work a 4th pass, go ahead and do it. It's whatever you feel the most secure with your ends. So I'm just going to insert into a nearby stitch here, breaking it in half. Run it vertically, not horizontally, so it doesn't prohibit any of the stretch. Break my stitch in half as I exit. Hold the fabric, pull through, give it a tug, then come back and manipulate the fabric if needed, so that if the fabric has bunched up at all, it now lays naturally. I'll rotate this. Insert into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half, run back through several of the stitches I just worked, and break my last stitch in half as I exit. Hold the fabric, pull it through, give it a tug, manipulate the fabric if needed, and then one more pass. I'll rotate this, insert into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half, run back through several of those stitches I just finished, and break my last stitch in half as I exit. Hold the fabric, pull through, give it a tug, manipulate the fabric, and now I'm ready to fasten off. Then I can turn my beanie back to the right side, and it's ready to wear. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You'll find the written pattern for this in the description box below. Please smash the like button and hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.